Few minutes after 3 p.m. today, Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich took his position on the floor of Parliament to present the Jubilee government's maiden budget.
It was a budget full of many firsts, with the theme of transformation for shared prosperity underpinned on a growth prospect of 5.8 for the calendar year 2013.
The key highlights of his statement dwelling on improving Kenya's state of transport and infrastructure, security, health and food security.
It is a budget that will see the government spend slightly over 1.6 trillion shillings, with over 90% to be funded from within, the rest being appropriation in aid.
However, much of these will be spent on paying salaries and other wage-related costs, a continuing concern for taxpayers.
Michael Karanja kicks off tonight's bulletin with a breakdown of President Uhuru Kenyatta's fiscal priorities over the next 12 months as he settles down to the real business.
It was the first budget under the Jubilee government, and at 1.6 trillion shillings, ambitious doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what lies ahead. Under the theme of transformation for shared prosperity, the budget takes into account major facets of supporting the devolution process while empowering local industries to stimulate growth.
Through this strategic intervention, honorable members, we will create 1 million jobs per year and thereby lifting at least 10 million Kenyans out of poverty and expand social protection coverage to all vulnerable.
The Jubilee government plans to ensure sustained economic growth, focusing on 5 thematic areas, key among them accelerating growth through improving the competitiveness of local goods, sealing leakages in government spending, and opening up of the agricultural sector.
What we have done is to ensure that we don't have wasteful expenditures, and make sure that those expenditures, the new priorities that come in are funded and do away with some we think has been wasteful expenditure. So yes, it is. You must be ambitious, obviously, but we have made it in a way that it's fundable.
Top on the list of beneficiaries in this year's budget is infrastructure, where some 288.5 billion shillings has been set aside for road transport, expanding generation capacity and access to electricity, developing modern national ICT infrastructure, and the development and expansion of the ports and rail facilities. Security is another key line item for the government, with as much as 67 billion shillings set aside for the National Police Service. 8 billion shillings has been set aside for the National Irrigation Program, while a further 2 billion shillings has been set aside for the Agribusiness Fund.
I think the theme was very appropriate. In terms of a business plan, the minister is the CFO of this country, or the cabinet secretary is the chief finance officer. What would you expect from a chief finance officer? Is a good business plan in terms of saying this is what we're going to do this year. This is what these are our priorities for this year. This is what is important, and this is where we're going to get money to be able to do this.
However, with such a large budget, how Treasury planned to finance it was always on the top of Kenyans' minds, and today they got their response. A 1.5% relay levy has been imposed on all imported goods. Importers of welding equipment will also find the going tough, with the Treasury proposing to increase the duty from 10 to 25%. But perhaps what may be of concern to many Kenyans is plans to reintroduce the value-added tax bill, with Treasury saying it will rope in an additional 11 billion shillings to the exchequer.
Honorable members, in this budget, we are therefore taking care of the poor and vulnerable, the youth and women, as well as businesses and investment as a basis for achieving these development objectives.
Michael Karanja, KTN.